So what does it really mean to be authentic? To feel like the person you are on the inside actually matches the person you show to the world. In this explainer, we're going to dive into that struggle, using some really powerful ideas from psychoanalysis to understand the masks we all wear, and maybe, just maybe, how we can start to take them off.
Have you ever had that feeling like you're an actor in your own life? You're saying all the right lines, you're making all the right moves, but the real you is just kind of sitting backstage watching it all happen? If that rings a bell, trust me, you are not alone. That nagging sense of being a fraud, well, that's the heart of what we're exploring today.
Okay, so how do we get a handle on this? A brilliant psychoanalyst named Donald Winnicott gave us an amazing way to think about this internal split. He framed it as a kind of conflict between two parts of ourselves, what he called the true self and the false self. So, what is the true self? Well, according to Winnicott, it's not something you have to go out and find. It's something you simply are. It's your built-in potential, the part of you that acts from a place of real, spontaneous feeling. It's the source of your creativity, your unique quirks, that simple, unself-conscious sense of just being alive. Now, the false self, on the other hand, isn't the bad guy here. Not at all. Think of it more like a bodyguard. It's this protective mask we build when our genuine, spontaneous self isn't met with, acceptance. It learns to be agreeable, to do what's expected, all in a desperate effort to shield our vulnerable true self from getting hurt. And when you put them side by side, the difference is just wow. The true self lives spontaneously. The false self reacts and complies. It's constantly managing the world outside. It's like your perfectly curated social media profile versus who you are when your phone is off. One is your absolute core. The other is a brilliantly designed shield.
Okay, so where does this division even come from? To understand the origins of this mask, we have to go way, way back. All the way back to our very first relationships and the kind of world they create for us.
Just try to imagine being an infant for a second. You're flooded with these huge, intense feelings that you have no words for. Pure terror, rage, overwhelming need. How you learn to deal with all that chaos depends completely on the world you land in, and really on the minds of the people taking care of you. And this is where two absolute giants of psychoanalysis, Winnicott and another thinker, Bion, come in. They offer different but really complementary ideas about how a solid, authentic sense of self gets built from the ground up.
So Winnicott's big idea was something he called holding. This is all about creating a safe, reliable environment that protects the infant from getting overwhelmed. It's a space to just be. Bion's idea of containing is a little more active. It's about a caregiver actually taking in the infant's raw, scary feelings, processing them, and then handing them back in a form that makes sense.
And Winnicott was really clear about this. You don't need a perfect parent. Not at all. What you need is a good enough one. And a good enough mother is just someone who, more often than not, sees her baby's spontaneous needs and meets them. It's that repeated success that lets the true self feel real and safe enough to come out and play. Bion's model is all about mental processing. So think of it like this. A little kid has a horrible nightmare. That raw, nameless terror is the contained. The parent who comes in, holds them, and says, "Shh, it was just a scary dream, you're safe now." That parent is the container. They use their own calm mind to make the child's chaotic experience make sense.
So if the false self gets built inside a relationship, it totally makes sense that the path back to our true self also happens through a relationship. And for our purposes today, we're talking about the therapeutic relationship. Both Winnicott and Bion had some really powerful ideas about how this works. Now, this next idea from Winnicott is a little wild, so stick with me here. He argued that for us to really believe another person is real and separate from us, we have to be able to destroy them in our minds and see that they survive. In therapy, this means a patient needs to test the therapist with anger, with silence, with whatever they've got. The therapist's job is to just take it, to endure it without retaliating, proving they are a sturdy, separate person. And the payoff for this is, well, it's profound. When the therapist survives all those tests, it proves to the patient that they are real, that they can be counted on. And for the first time, maybe ever, that person can start to live in a world with actual, reliable people, not just projections. Bion's approach is a little different. It's less about surviving an attack and more about a state of deep emotional connection he called reverie.
This is basically the therapist's ability to be totally open and receptive, to actually feel the patient's raw, unprocessed anxiety in their own body and use their mind to make sense of it. And this is the key difference for Bion. It's not just symbolic. The patient doesn't just talk about their despair. They make the analyst feel that despair directly. The healing happens right there, in that shared emotional experience. It's empathy in its most powerful form. Okay, so let's fast forward a bit. Building on these amazing foundational ideas, a more contemporary psychoanalyst, Christopher Bolas, offers this really beautiful way to think about our natural, innate push toward being our authentic selves. Bolas calls this the destiny drive. And I just love that phrase. It's this idea that our true self isn't just a passive core waiting to be discovered. Nope, it's an active force, an urge to express its own unique personality idiom, its special way of being in the world. We're all driven from the inside out to become more fully ourselves. So how do we do that? How do we follow that drive? Bolas suggests we use the world around us, music, nature, books, not just to learn about them, but to create an experience of ourselves. Think about it. When you listen to a piece of music that gives you goosebumps, you're not just analyzing it. You're using it to feel something that makes you, you. And this all leads to a really beautiful paradox. At the absolute core of our being, in our true self, we are, in a way, essentially alone. It's a wordless, imageless kind of solitude. But, and this is the twist, we can't get there just by looking inward. The only way to truly know that self is to live from it, to express it, to use the world to bring it to life. Which leaves us with a final, really important question to think about. Is finding your true self an internal, solo journey, or is it something that, as these thinkers suggest, can only ever truly happen in this surviving, holding, and real presence of another person?